I like graphical forms of expression, and letterpress has that ability. It's a really hands-on DIY type of printmaking, if you like. You've got millions of letters, some of them are like really tiny, you can't hardly see them, and you've got others that are like, you know, so big. And what can you do with them? What's possible? You know, what can you make them do that they've not done already? What I was originally going to do was I was going to make 3 prints about light, and in the end what came about was the idea that actually you could make a large piece that's actually 3 prints that actually communicate that on a larger scale. And it was like, right, okay, what can this do? And then how am I going to make this work across 3 prints? How am I going to control this across 3 prints? So this is basically something I've never done before. I had a composite image on screen of what the thing's going to look like, and they're separated and laser cut, and then they're individual lines that are stuck on a bit of wood, made into a block that you can print from. I've always been interested in the way that inks or the light plays with these colours, like when you put them down, how a colour can affect another colour. And so that, based upon that principle, that's sort of what a number of my pieces of work are based around, just like this overlays of colours to get third colours. It's got 4 on it, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 3 prints and each got 4 runs on it. So I'm laying these out on the board, trying to work out which combination fits together, right? Which looks like that's the one. So I'm mixing this up for the second colour. I've mixed a transparent white, which is the white ink, which is not very white, and I've mixed a fluorescent pink together. There you go. Oh yeah, very nice. That's 2 colours of 5. Okay, so there's another 3 colours to go on there. So this is quite difficult. And being able to maintain the consistency of the colour from each print to the next print, because obviously they've got to sit next to each other. So it's the shadow of a long night ahead is looming over me. This stuff is the remnants of an industrial past that has been long since consigned to the dustbin or skip, yet it still keeps giving. Whether what I do now is letterpress or not, yeah, I mean, it's certainly using letterpress machinery, but maybe it's not really traditionally what is seen as letterpress. In this case here, I've got a lot of mats or matrices, and they are basically brass moulds, and they've got the letter stamped into them. So that's the female part of the casting process. So I'm going to take this now, and I'm going to cast this section in one part, and I'm going to cast this section in another part. This machine has got molten lead in it, and this molten lead is going to get fired into the letters. And as soon as it hits the letters, it's going to solidify. Put the safety guard on. And out it comes. Okay. And it's hot. Yeah! So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out the bits that I don't need. I'm making sure that I've spelt them right and they're all the right height. Then what I've got to do is I've got to get the spacing in between each word. So we'll put that in there and then that in there. So what I've got to do now is I've got to get all these letters across there without dropping any of them. All right, and then pop that on there. This is furniture. And this furniture is your white space, your negative space that you don't see when you print. This is made out of like, I think it's aluminium or something. This is cornerstone furniture, and this is like the best stuff. This big stuff like this is hard to find. These are like my favourite bits of furniture. That's what I just said. I don't like the wooden ones, I like these. All the furniture's gone into place, yeah, which means that it's going to hold the type in position. And then the last thing I have to do here is I have to lock it all in place, because at the moment it's just going to move around, okay? So when we start printing, this is just going to move, and it'll just mean that the whole thing's all over the place. Now, because you put the type in the machine, locking it all up with all those funny bits of furniture, it's locked up. And I've got to make sure that the ink goes on it so we can find out whether the type we've actually cast actually says what we think it's going to say. So it's on, and then going to that down, and then down like that. I'll turn it all the way to the end, and then I bring it all the way back. The moron here who doesn't know what he's doing, just realise that's the wrong way round. So we're just going to turn that around. Okay, and then I'll tighten that back up. Alright. Okay. Comes back, paper goes in. Now I'm going to turn this handle, and at the same time as that, I'm going to steady the sheet here. So I'm going to have my hand on this sheet as it moves through the press, alright? That's pretty good, and I'm happy with that. So that does the job. When you bring the whole thing together, that's when it works. So it's a really quite interesting project to work on, because to a certain extent you're kind of not flying blind, but there's a certain element of like, is this really going to work? So this is the middle section. All right, so that's the middle section. That is the left-hand section. Because there's three of them, I can't hold all three. So you've got the different waves running across, yeah, and then they overlap in different places. And in the case of the blue, it's a slightly different blue that's used, so there is a different colour there. And then when you've got the blue and the yellow, you get a green, and when you've got the pink and the blue, you get a purple. Letterpress is seen as a certain type of printing, I think, and it can be, you know, wooden letters that are wonky and badly printed, etc. But it actually isn't. It can be this absolutely gobsmacking piece of print.